What can I do for you guys today?
He's got Pokemon cards and...
Pokemon.
Okay, so Pokemon cards. And he says they're worth $500,000, and it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Let's take a look at some graded Pokemon cards. Hey everyone, it's me, Joji, and today we're going to be talking about graded cards. Specifically, graded Pokemon cards, but to an extent, obviously, all the other types of cards that you can get graded through a multitude of companies. And we'll be taking a look at this card that I just got, and we'll see what we're going to be doing with it. And for any of you die-hard graded card collectors, what I'm about to do to this card is going to be very painful to watch. But I do have personal reasons for doing it. So in this video, I will go over the pros and cons of getting your cards graded, and also talk about some pros and cons of certain companies that are out there. So let's go ahead and take a look at those graded cards. So we'll look at this one in a bit, but for now, let's talk about what is a graded card. Well, as you can see, it is a card that is sealed in usually some kind of ceramic container. It keeps it very well tightly sealed, so you're not going to get a lot of damage done to it at all. It's held very fine most of the time. I've seen some cards that have jiggled around in their holders, but they usually get a grade, and if you pay for, some other companies do subgrading, and sometimes you can get them without grades, usually for authenticity reasons. Maybe it's signed, or maybe it's just some sort of different type of collector thing, or you could even just get it without the grades and get it sealed to keep it preserved for a lot longer. But yeah, as you can see, this is a Pokemon graded card from CGC with subgrades, and its overall is a 9. And it's sealed pretty well, I would say, in my opinion. You can see there is a bit of a seam, which is where they sealed it off. But in terms of keeping it preserved, this is gonna last for a long time. Here is another version of it. I think this is from the same actually time that it was made, but here is what their style is. But here's a different company here, a little bit older than CGC in terms of the card scene. I know CGC came out a little bit later. They did a lot of comic books before they went into cards, but PSA has been doing cards for a long time, starting with, I believe, a lot of the sports cards. Most of the time you'll see a PSA card, you want to send it over sports cards to them instead of any other companies. I know you can send them to Beckett, which unfortunately I don't have one of those, but you can send most of your sports cards over to PSA. In my opinion, they're probably better at grading sports cards. Pokemon cards, they've gotten into it for a while now, and honestly, they're pretty good at grading. Downside, as you can see on both of these, no subgrades. Beckett does do subgrades, so does CGC. This is what you'll usually see on PSAs. I know Beckett's is usually a bit more different. I'll throw it up on the screen so you can see what it looks like. And then CGC does more of a blue style. These are the ones at least I had. I know these two I had in the background over there, but I had to bring them out to show you guys what they look like. Now let's talk about pros and cons again of having graded cards. Pro, as I said earlier, they get preserved for a lot longer, and that's no exaggeration. They will not yellow, they're not gonna get messed up by the sun or light as easy for a long period of time. You get some real, this logo here that tells you near mint, mint, and even the gem mints, that is going to stay at that level. This card's gonna stay in that condition for a long time. I don't know how long. I actually don't even know what the oldest graded card is. That would actually be a really good measure of how well they preserve them. And sometimes people may even get them resealed. So they'll send it back in just to get a reseal, get it in a better version of the sealing, because I do know that these two are actually different sealings as far as I can tell. Obviously, first big advantage of getting your cards graded, keeping them preserved. Another pro is they usually keep their value a lot better when you're trying to sell them. Of course, a 9.5 maybe might not sell as high as a 10 for a shiny Charizard GX, but as compared to this to a raw version of a Charizard, it may sell for more. But of course, there are cases where if it's actually a lower grade, it may even sell for lower than the raw. And I'd say the third reason is for display purposes. In my case, I had these two again in the background there on some stands, but I've seen way cooler setups for graded cards. And of course, if you're planning on maybe just getting them displayed instead of really caring about the grade, but if you're going for the grades, go ahead and go for that. But you can always get them without the grades and just sealed to look nicely on some kind of shelf. Now for the cons, they can be very opinionated whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing. But a con, I would say, is pricing. Pricing has gotten really bad when it comes to grading cards. It used to be fairly cheap. Even sending in a single or a few at a time, not doing the bulk orders, was super cheap to send in. Like, I sent maybe about 5 cards here, and it only cost me about $100 with taxes, which isn't that bad, but it's ramped up to the point where you have to send it through a middleman or somehow do a really big bulk order to at least get some kind of return on what you're doing. Isn't essentially an investment. You're investing in the longevity of this card, and prices again have gone up way too much in my opinion to really grade as a single card. You want to send in tons of cards at a time. And speaking of a ton, there have been so many pop-up grading companies which honestly don't have much backing. I know the big 3 are obviously CGC, PSA, and Beckett, but then I've seen other weirder companies with 3-letter acronyms coming around and trying to swoop up people from those markets that are taking quite a bit of time to get back, which is probably a con we'll talk about in a second. But there's so many other companies that don't have, I guess, the authenticity backing to them. They maybe have people from the industry that work from those companies that are grading them now, but there are so many new ones that how do you trust them since they've been so young for so long? So going back to that other con that I said, time. These cards will take you a long time to get back when you send them in for grading right now. They have such a huge backlog of people that have sent them stuff that you may not see your cards for a year and hopefully not 2 years, but it seems like it's getting to that point. And I guess this last one is more of an opinion in my case. I don't like grading cards that I plan to use. And I guess that goes down to this card here that hopefully the unpacking doesn't go over the noise with all the bubble wrap, but there are some cards that get graded that I would have loved to play with, you know, use in a deck to play with. And this is one of them. This one right here is a gold Ultra Ball, 8.5. Obviously, the person that sold this to me did not pay for the grades. And I believe I didn't pay too much for this. With shipping being free and not including taxes, this cost me $33.75 on eBay. And I didn't even have to bid for it. It was a buy it now, under the price of a regular raw Ultra Ball from Sun and Moon. That's a steal. A regular ungraded one goes for about $45 to $50 right now. So I don't know if it was a mix-up maybe on the seller side who saw that so I don't know if it was a mix-up on the seller's part where they were putting this priced at a little bit higher than the regular one that just came out in Brilliant Stars, but their mistake has got me a pretty good deal. But again, it goes back to that con for me at least. I have a 3 set of the Brilliant Stars Ultra Balls that I plan on using in decks, and I need a 4th. So what do I do about that, right? It kind of sucks. It's in a sealed case that would be very difficult to get into. But all things aside, I honestly have never opened up a graded card, so I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm recording this for those of you who find a deal like I did, where this thing graded was $33, about $10 less than the raw price. I'm assuming, kind of going off of plastic packaging, that I can kind of maybe cut off one of the corners or something. I'll say this much about CGC. They made a strong case. Every time I snap something, it scares the heck out of me because I don't know where these bits are going. They're going so fast. Here's one bit. I'm sorry to all collectors out there who are crying or being very mad at me for doing this. I just cleaned this room too. You know, there's just gonna be a bunch of little pieces of plastic everywhere. Maybe I should have put on some like safety goggles or something else. Maybe a face shield would have been great. Maybe I should wear some gloves too. Screwdriver is stuck in my hand. Oh, okay, that's a good crack. That went down the edge of the holder. Okay, I like that. Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. That came off a lot faster than I thought it would. Here is now a non-graded Ultra Ball. And to be fair, the thing I just did is actually what some companies do if you send them in for regrading and resealing, getting a new case on them. This is what they'll do. Probably more elegantly. I'm just double checking to make sure it is a true Ultra Ball. Yes, it is. This is a real Ultra Ball. I will give it a nice little touch there. It is now ungraded. I will applaud the durability of this case. I will say that much. It was a strong case. Which one do you guys like better? Do you like the Sun and Moon one? Or do you like the Ultra Ball? Honestly, kind of liking the Ultra Ball a little bit better because this is yellow here and it's blue on there. Kind of takes a little bit off of it, you know, having a whole gold card essentially compared to this guy. But hey, gotta respect the older versions. Well, it's out now, so I don't think it's really an 8.5 anymore. But to me, it's a bit more valuable in this way. So guys, hopefully you got some pros and cons that you can weigh over yourselves when it comes to grading cards. So would you send your cards in to get graded and preserved for a long time and honestly really, really well by some of those major 3 companies like CGC, PSA, and Beckett? Or would you do something like me and break open one just for the card? Because again, I really wanted that play set of Ultra Balls. But let me know down in the comments, what did you think of me opening it up just to get a single card? Honestly, I think it was worth it. I'll be using this card in future tournaments that I'll be playing for probably a long time. But again, I do also like having some cards preserved, especially cards that hold a lot of memories in my heart. And if you want to learn some more about Pokemon TCG, get subscribed because we do a lot of videos on deck upgrades, some Pokemon pack openings every once in a while, and other things that you may find informational. Anyways guys, as always, stay safe and thanks for watching.